Fermentation, practical information, advantages and disadvantages.
Hello, I'm Vince the Soilman, and I'm a fan of fermentation of organic waste as an alternative to composting. In this Best for Soil video we will learn about this method, its advantages and disadvantages, and how to make with organic waste a valuable soil amendment. And the method is also useful and adapted for households.
Fermentation is a process under anaerobic conditions, which means in the absence of oxygen. Fermentation is used for the production of food products such as yogurt, sourdough bread, sauerkraut, wine, beer, and others. Silage is also a product of fermentation. For the production of silage, the harvested organic matter is transformed by specific microorganisms, mainly lactobacillus bacteria and yeast, into lactic acid. The organic material that will be fermented is placed in an airtight space or will be covered with airtight material, such as plastic sheets used for silage production. A starter inoculum of anaerobic microorganisms is added when filling the vessel with the organic matter. As inoculum can be used commercial silage starter products or byproducts from yogurt production. After adding the organic matter, the airtight space is closed hermetically until new material is added. Once the airtight space is full, then it will be kept closed for 2 to 4 weeks. For big volumes of organic matter, and when no corresponding airtight space is available, the material will be covered with airtight plastic. Like for silage production, air inside the organic matter has to be removed as much as possible to guarantee anaerobic conditions needed for the fermentation process. The fermentation of small volumes in households, mainly of kitchen waste, is known as bokashi method. Kits with airtight vessel and microorganisms inoculum are commercially available. Bokashi is a Japanese expression and means fading away. The fermented organic matter is incorporated into the soil where it is rapidly decomposed and increases the soil content with valuable organic substances. Fermentation uses, in contrast to composting, only a small part of the carbon, the energy carrier of the organic matter. Therefore, adding fermented organic matter to the soil boosts the activity of soil micro and macroorganisms. During the fermentation process, some liquid is produced and collected. This liquid comprises lactic acid and should therefore be diluted before added to the soil. Because the fermented organic matter has a low pH, direct contact with plants, especially roots, has to be avoided because the acidity of the material might harm them. No carbon dioxide is produced and therefore the carbon is preserved for feeding the soil life. In contrast to composting, fermentation causes no gaseous losses, and the lactic acid is collected and used. All the mineral elements are still present after the fermentation process. It is a natural method and can therefore be used in organic production. Any kind of organic matter can be used, including household waste, such as cooked food, meat, fat, oil, and also eggshells. The process until the final product needs only a few weeks. No unpleasant smell is produced. In contrast to aerobic processing of the waste, no insects will be present. For large amounts of organic matter, fermentation is more complicated than composting. Partially rotted organic matter cannot be used because the microorganisms on such material might induce a rotting process and thereby disturb the fermentation process. Large material has to be reduced to small pieces to avoid air pockets in the airtight space. In the presence of such air pockets, the anaerobic conditions are no more fulfilled. Fermentation does not create temperature high enough to kill weed seeds and plant pathogens, as it is the case with thermophilic compost. To date, it is not known if the produced lactic acid has such an effect. Direct contact with the fermented material, including the liquid, can injure plants.